Welcome, history enthusiasts. Today, we're about to uncover a story that has remained hidden in the shadows of time. A tale so extraordinary that it challenges everything you thought you knew about the American frontier. Imagine a warrior who could predict enemy movements through supernatural powers, a leader who struck fear into the hearts of both Mexican and American soldiers, and a woman who defied all conventions of her time. This isn't just another historical account. This is the remarkable story of Lozen, the Apache warrior-shaman whose legacy continues to inspire generations. Stay with us as we reveal one of history's most fascinating untold stories. Throughout the annals of American history, numerous indigenous leaders have earned their place in our collective memory, their names forever enshrined in historical records and academic texts. However, beneath these well-documented narratives lies a realm of extraordinary individuals whose contributions remain largely unknown to the general public. Among these hidden figures stands Lozen, a remarkable Apache female warrior whose story deserves equal recognition alongside the more celebrated Native American leaders. In the complex tapestry of 19th-century American Southwest history, Lozen emerged as a unique figure who challenged both gender norms and military expectations. While historical records extensively document male Apache warriors, Lozen's story offers a distinctive perspective on female leadership and martial prowess within indigenous communities. Her legacy, though less widely known, provides crucial insights into the multifaceted nature of Apache resistance and survival strategies during a period of intense cultural conflict. The historical context of Lozen's era is particularly significant when considering the broader landscape of Native American resistance. While figures such as Sitting Bull of the Lakota Nation, Tecumseh of the Shawnee people, and Geronimo of the Apache have become household names in American history, their stories represent only a fraction of the indigenous resistance movement. These leaders, each representing distinct nations, Sitting Bull leading the Lakota, Tecumseh uniting the Shawnee, and Geronimo commanding Apache forces, established themselves as formidable defenders of their people's sovereignty and traditional lands. Within this historical framework, Lozen's story emerges as particularly compelling. As both a warrior and a woman, she exemplified the complex roles that indigenous women could assume during times of conflict. Her journey paralleled that of her male counterparts in many ways, yet her experience as a female warrior added unique dimensions to the narrative of Apache resistance. The documentation of her life, though less extensive than that of her male contemporaries, reveals a character of extraordinary courage, tactical brilliance, and unwavering dedication to her people's survival. In the turbulent landscape of the American Southwest during the mid-1800s, Lozen emerged as a remarkable figure in Apache resistance. Born into the Cheyenne Band, also known as the Warm Springs Apache, she distinguished herself not merely as a female warrior, but as a formidable military strategist and spiritual leader. For 3 decades, spanning from approximately 1850 to 1880, Lozen engaged in sustained resistance against both Mexican and American military forces, earning her the symbolic title Apache Joan of Arc among historians, who later documented her achievements. As the daughter of a prominent band leader, Lozen's early life departed significantly from traditional female roles within Apache society. While Apache women typically focused on domestic responsibilities and married young, Lozen devoted herself to mastering martial arts, military strategy, and equestrian skills. Her exceptional abilities in combat, horsemanship, and archery eventually earned her the unprecedented recognition as a warrior by the band's leadership council, a position traditionally reserved exclusively for men. Historical records and oral traditions indicate that Lozen possessed extraordinary capabilities beyond her military prowess. According to Apache spiritual beliefs, she was gifted with supernatural powers that allowed her to detect enemy movements and presence. These abilities, combined with her tactical intelligence, made her an invaluable asset in protecting her people during countless confrontations with opposing forces. Lozen's significance in Apache military history is further emphasized by her close associations with 2 of the most prominent Apache leaders of the era, She served as a trusted advisor and ally to Chief Geronimo, participating in numerous strategic operations. More notably, she was the sister of Chief Victorio, who openly acknowledged her critical role in their resistance efforts. Victorio's documented statement about Lozen reveals the exceptional regard in which she was held. "Lozen is my right hand," he declared, praising her strength, courage, and strategic acumen as equal to or surpassing that of male warriors. The relationship between Lozen and Victorio exemplified the unique military partnership that transcended traditional gender roles within Apache society. Her brother's public recognition of her abilities not only validated her position as a warrior, but also demonstrated the Apache people's capacity to adapt their social structures in response to the existential threats they faced. This flexibility in gender roles, though rare, proved crucial in maximizing the Apache's defensive capabilities during this period of intense conflict. This relationship between Lozen and these prominent Apache leaders provides essential context for understanding both her personal significance and the broader dynamics of Apache resistance during this period. While Geronimo and Victorio's names have become more widely recognized in historical accounts, Lozen's contributions remain equally significant in Apache oral traditions and contemporary historical assessments of this period. Historical records indicate that Lozen was born around 1840 in the Cheyenne Apache Band at Ojo Caliente, New Mexico. Her birth coincided with a critical period in Apache history, as their traditional territories, known as Apacheria, encompassed a vast region spanning what is now northern Mexico, eastern Arizona, and southern New Mexico. This expansive territory was home to at least 7 distinct Apache tribes and numerous clans, each with their own unique customs and territorial ranges. The Cheyenne Band, Lozen's people, were also known by 2 other significant names, the Eastern Chiricahua and the Red Paint people. This latter designation derived from their distinctive cultural practice of wearing red clay bands across their faces during ceremonial rituals, a tradition that set them apart from other Apache groups. This practice held deep spiritual and cultural significance within their community. Contemporary insights into Apache culture come from Joey Padilla, a traditional doctor and museum curator at the Mescalero Apache Reservation in New Mexico. According to Padilla's historical accounts, the Apache peoples were fundamentally nomadic, never remaining in one location for extended periods. This nomadic lifestyle was integral to their survival strategy and cultural identity. Within this context, Lozen's name carries particular significance, translating to dexterous horse thief. It reflects her renowned ability to penetrate enemy lines undetected and successfully capture their horses, a skill crucial to Apache warfare and survival. Lozen's early life coincided with a period of intensifying conflict in the Southwest. Upon reaching maturity, she began actively participating in military encounters against 2 primary adversaries, Mexican soldiers and scalp hunters, who had long threatened her people's existence. The situation became even more complex in 1849 when American forces entered the region, asserting territorial claims over traditional Apache lands. This historical context is documented in Peter Elsher's biographical work, Warrior Woman, the story of Lozen, Apache warrior and shaman, which details how her exceptional stealth abilities and courage became invaluable assets during these prolonged conflicts. The period of Lozen's early adulthood marked a crucial transition in Apache history, as their territory faced increasing pressure from multiple expanding powers. These circumstances demanded extraordinary adaptability and resilience from the Apache people, qualities that Lozen would come to embody throughout her life as a warrior and spiritual leader. Her emergence as a military leader during this period reflects both the intensity of the threats facing her people and the Apache's willingness to embrace unconventional leadership in times of crisis. The historical authenticity of Lozen's existence has been a subject of academic discourse, with some scholars questioning the veracity of her story. However, significant research by Eve Ball, a renowned Apache historian, brought Lozen's narrative to broader attention during Ball's research for her 1970s publication, In the Days of Victorio. Ball's investigations revealed that Lozen's relative obscurity in historical records stemmed from cultural constraints. Specifically, the Apache community's hesitation to document instances of unmarried women participating in military raids alongside men. According to Ball's research sources, Lozen demonstrated exceptional proficiency in various martial skills, including horsemanship, marksmanship, roping, and horse capture operations. Her military capabilities were so highly regarded that her brother, Chief Victorio, considered her indispensable to raid operations, treating her as an equal to male warriors. This exceptional status existed within the context of Apache society, which, while matriarchal in structure, still maintained distinct gender roles. The Apache creation mythology, centered around the divine figure of white-painted woman, emphasized the crucial role of women in their society's survival and continuity. Despite her later achievements, Lozen's early life was marked by traumatic experiences that shaped her future path. Although she was born into a privileged position within her community as the daughter of a band leader, her childhood was overshadowed by the growing threats to Apache sovereignty. Her father's accounts of Mexican incursions into their territory left a lasting impression on her young mind. A particularly pivotal moment occurred during her childhood when U.S. military forces attempted to manipulate the Apache people with generous offerings, attempting to persuade them to abandon their ancestral lands for relocation. When her people refused these deceptive overtures, the situation escalated into violence, with military forces opening fire on the community, an event that would profoundly influence Lozen's future role as a defender of her people. During the violent confrontation with U.S. forces, Lozen and her brother Victorio managed to escape, though many members of their band lost their lives in the attack. This traumatic experience left an indelible mark on young Lozen's psyche, prompting her to make a solemn vow to protect her people and their territory at any cost necessary. Throughout her youth, Lozen witnessed numerous violent conflicts and deaths. Particularly devastating were the incidents during supposed peace negotiations between Apache council members and gold prospectors, where Apache representatives were often treacherously killed. These betrayals led to a cycle of retribution, with the Apache people seeking vengeance for each life taken by their adversaries. The intensity of the conflict escalated, with both sides engaging in brutal tactics. The Apache would occasionally capture Mexican prisoners, bringing them before the tribe in chains. In acts of retribution, the female relatives of slain Apache warriors, daughters, wives, and mothers would execute these captives. Lozen observed these violent encounters, including disturbing scenes of minors being dismembered or having their hands crushed beneath horses' hooves. Eventually, the Apache's fierce resistance succeeded in driving Mexican forces southward and out of their territory. However, this victory proved temporary, as new challenges continued to emerge. Throughout this period, Lozen's reputation as a formidable female warrior grew among both her people and their adversaries. According to Joey Padilla's historical accounts, Apache warfare tactics incorporated a sophisticated system of gender roles that enhanced their combat effectiveness. A distinctive feature of their military strategy involved women accompanying male warriors into battle, positioning themselves directly behind men carrying weapons. This arrangement served a crucial tactical purpose. If a male warrior fell in combat, his female companion would immediately take up his weapons and continue the fight, effectively doubling the defensive capacity of each warrior position. Beyond combat roles, these women also served as protectors of children during conflict situations. The Apache society maintained a highly structured approach to gender roles and daily life, with particular emphasis on emergency preparedness. Women received specific training in rapid evacuation procedures, learning to quickly gather essential items and guide their families to predetermined safe locations. Physical fitness was paramount in this lifestyle, with women participating in demanding training regimens that included pre-dawn mountain runs, ensuring they maintained the stamina and strength necessary for both daily life and emergency situations. Within this structured society, Lozen distinguished herself by excelling in multiple disciplines typically associated with male warriors. Her physical capabilities were exceptional. She demonstrated outstanding prowess in both running and horsemanship. Moreover, her combat skills extended across multiple weapon systems, including proficiency with traditional weapons like the spear and bow, as well as adopted technologies such as rifles. Lozen's influence extended beyond her own combat abilities as she took on the role of training younger generations in various martial skills, including swordsmanship and equestrian combat techniques. Despite her prominent position in the community, Lozen's personal life followed a different path from most Apache women. She never married nor had children of her own, though historical accounts indicate she harbored a deep desire for motherhood. Personal circumstances, the specific nature of which remains unclear in historical records, prevented Lozen from having biological children. However, she channeled her maternal instincts into a broader role as a protector and mentor of all Apache children, dedicating herself to ensuring their safety and development during the tumultuous period of conflict. This commitment to the community's children became a defining aspect of her legacy. A significant relationship in Lozen's life was her partnership with Detesta, a female warrior from the Chokonen band. Together, they conducted numerous raids and protective operations, forming an effective military partnership that demonstrated the potential for women to excel in combat roles. Their collaboration represented a unique example of female military leadership within Apache society, challenging traditional gender restrictions while maintaining the core Apache value of protecting their people. According to Apache oral traditions and historical documentation, Lozen and Detesta developed a close partnership during their years of military service. Their relationship is visually documented in a notable photograph of the Chiricahua, Apache taken during their period of captivity, showing the two warriors in close proximity. Further historical context was provided in the 1930s, when Apache sources shared information with anthropologist Morris Opler about two unnamed women who maintained an intimate relationship during their imprisonment, details that historians later connected to Lozen and Detesta. The historical backdrop to their story was shaped by the 1848 Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, which incorporated New Mexico into U.S. territory. This same year marked the beginning of the California Gold Rush, which drove thousands of miners through Apache territories, creating new tensions and conflicts. During this tumultuous period, when Lozen was approximately 12 years old, she underwent traditional Apache puberty ceremonies that held deep spiritual significance. These rites of passage included a solitary journey into the mountains where, according to Apache oral traditions, she received supernatural abilities that would prove crucial to her people's survival. Harlan Geronimo, the great-grandson of the famous Apache leader Geronimo, has preserved and shared accounts of Lozen's mystical abilities. According to these family histories, Lozen would perform a specific ritual, raising her palms and walking in a circular pattern until the veins in her arms turned a distinctive dark blue color. This physical manifestation reportedly indicated the direction from which enemy forces would approach. This extraordinary gift provided the Apache with crucial tactical advantages, allowing them to anticipate enemy movements and plan their strategies accordingly. On a personal level, this ability also helped Lozen avoid capture during numerous confrontations. These accounts of Lozen's supernatural abilities must be understood within the context of Apache spiritual beliefs and oral traditions, where the intersection of physical and spiritual power was considered natural and significant. Whether viewed through a lens of spiritual belief or tactical intelligence, Lozen's reported ability to predict enemy movements contributed significantly to Apache defensive strategies during this period of intense conflict. Historical parallels often emerged between Lozen and Joan of Arc, both renowned for their divine gifts in warfare. This spiritual connection manifested powerfully in a pivotal encounter between Lozen and Chief Geronimo, an event preserved through generations of Apache oral tradition. On this significant occasion, Lozen stood before Geronimo and his warriors during a critical moment of potential danger. The wind whipped around her slight frame, sending her straight black hair flying as she prepared to employ her supernatural abilities. Geronimo approached her with characteristic reverence, softly asking if she could detect any military forces in their vicinity. Lozen's simple response, "I can," carried the weight of absolute certainty. In the tense moments that followed, Lozen entered a state of deep spiritual connection. She remained completely still, her arms stretched outward, and her hands forming gentle cups to receive divine guidance. With profound humility, she acknowledged the source of her power. The god Yusin has granted me this ability. It's good for the reason he's good. This statement reflected the deep spiritual foundation of her gifts and her role as an intermediary between the divine and her people. Geronimo and his warriors maintained respectful silence as they awaited her insight. When Lozen finally opened her eyes, they shone with an intense spiritual light that witnesses would later recount. The magnitude of her divine gift often overwhelmed her emotionally. Those who knew her reported that she frequently wept when exercising these abilities, feeling humbled by the tremendous responsibility placed upon her by Yusin. Despite her own feelings of unworthiness in the face of such extraordinary power, Lozen carried her gift with dignity and purpose. In this instance, she turned first to meet Geronimo's expectant gaze, then addressed the assembled warriors who waited anxiously for her guidance. Her simple pronouncement, "Rest easy," brought immediate relief to the group, demonstrating the absolute trust they placed in her supernatural abilities. This interaction exemplified the unique combination of military strategy and spiritual leadership that made Lozen an extraordinary figure in Apache resistance. Her gift of divine foresight, coupled with her proven combat abilities, established her as an invaluable leader during a period of intense conflict and cultural upheaval. A significant escalation in Apache-American conflicts occurred in 1861 when Kochisi, the Chokonen Chiricahua chief, faced false accusations of kidnapping a rancher's son. This incident sparked a devastating 24-year war between the United States military and various Apache bands. The intensity of this conflict manifested dramatically in 1862 at the Battle of Apache Pass, where Kochise and another chief led a force of 200 warriors. Despite their tactical advantages, the Apache forces were ultimately repelled by superior U.S. military firepower, particularly the devastating effects of howitzer artillery. Lozen's participation in the Battle of Apache Pass marked a crucial point in her military career. Her exceptional performance in this engagement led to her formal recognition by the tribal council as a warrior, a rare honor for a woman. Following this official acknowledgement, she fought alongside her brother Victorio in numerous engagements defending Apache territories. One of her notable military achievements involved a daring raid on Fort Craig, where Apache forces, armed with traditional weapons including bows and arrows, successfully captured U.S. military horses. By 1869, the political landscape shifted toward negotiations, with Lozen participating in high-level discussions alongside Victorio and other Apache leaders. These talks centered on establishing a reservation near Ojo Caliente, their traditional homeland. However, despite these diplomatic efforts, the Apache people were ultimately forced to relocate to the San Carlos Reservation in Arizona, a location notorious for its harsh living conditions and poor resources. The deteriorating conditions at San Carlos led to a decisive moment in 1877 when Victorio, Lozen, and other members of the Chehen Band chose resistance over compliance, departing from the reservation. This exodus required careful strategic planning to evade capture by U.S. military forces. During this period, Lozen demonstrated her leadership abilities by successfully guiding a group of women and children across the dangerous waters of the Rio Grande River into Mexico. This event was later recounted by James Coetla, who experienced the journey as an infant, traveling with his grandmother during the Chiheni Band's escape from pursuing American soldiers. This sequence of events illustrated the escalating tensions between Apache autonomy and American territorial expansion, while highlighting Lozen's evolving role from warrior to strategic leader. Her ability to adapt to various military and humanitarian challenges, from direct combat at Apache Pass to guiding vulnerable community members to safety, demonstrated the versatility that made her an invaluable figure in Apache resistance efforts during this tumultuous period. In historical accounts of the Apache exodus to Mexico, James Coetla provided a vivid description of Lozen during the crossing, depicting her as a striking figure mounted on an exceptional horse, brandishing a firearm overhead as she led the group to safety. After ensuring her charges reached Mexican territory, though all were cold and drenched from the river crossing, Lozen immediately returned across the Rio Grande to continue the resistance against U.S. forces. One of Lozen's most remarkable demonstrations of courage and compassion occurred when she undertook a perilous mission to escort a pregnant mescalero, Apache woman, across the Chihuahuan Desert to her home on the Mescalero Reservation. For this dangerous journey, Lozen carried minimal supplies, a single firearm, ammunition belt, knife, and only 3 days' worth of provisions. This mission exemplified her commitment to protecting vulnerable members of the Apache community, even at great personal risk. The journey proved to be an extraordinary test of both Lozen's survival skills and leadership abilities. Beyond providing protection, she demonstrated remarkable resourcefulness, successfully hunting and butchering a longhorn cow for sustenance and capturing 2 horses to aid their travel. The most challenging moment came when the pregnant woman went into labor, forcing them to seek concealment in dense vegetation while U.S. military patrols searched the area. During the precarious birthing process, Lozen's actions revealed her versatility as both warrior and midwife. She maintained constant vigilance, keeping her weapon ready while simultaneously attending to the laboring woman. Her quick thinking in muffling the woman's labor cries with her hand potentially saved all their lives. When the infant arrived, Lozen employed traditional Apache birthing practices, utilizing a piece of flint to sever the umbilical cord and yucca fiber to secure it, all while maintaining awareness of their dangerous surroundings. The culmination of this episode demonstrated Lozen's exceptional combination of combat readiness and spiritual leadership. After ensuring the safe delivery of the child, she performed traditional Apache prayers over the newborn before returning him to his mother. However, this moment of ceremonial peace was quickly interrupted by the approach of military scouts. Lozen positioned herself ready to engage, finger on her rifle's trigger, prepared to defend the mother and newborn if necessary. The tension reached its peak as one scout seemed to detect their presence and moved closer to their position. Lozen maintained her defensive posture, fully prepared to initiate combat if the scout discovered their hiding place. In what many would later describe as a fortunate turn of events, the scout suddenly reversed course and departed without detecting the hidden group, allowing the mother, newborn, and Lozen to continue their journey to safety. This incident encapsulated the multifaceted nature of Lozen's leadership, combining military vigilance, medical knowledge, spiritual guidance, and protective instincts. Her ability to successfully navigate such complex situations while ensuring the survival of those in her care exemplified why she became such a legendary figure in Apache history. After successfully protecting the mother and newborn, Lozen continued her resistance efforts. However, tragedy struck the Apache resistance when Chief Victorio and several of his warriors were killed in an ambush at Tres Castillos. Many Apache people later speculated that such an ambush might have been prevented had Lozen been present, given her supernatural ability to detect enemy presence. Following Victorio's death, Lozen and the remaining Apache warriors managed to evade U.S. cavalry forces for 5 more years. This period was marked by intense emotional turmoil among the Apache people, who harbored deep resentment over their forced family separations and territorial displacement. Under these circumstances, Lozen emerged as a key military strategist, leading numerous raids and developing essential battle tactics to protect her displaced people. The survival of the Apache during this period resembled an extensive game of cat and mouse across vast territories. Their path of resistance stretched from New Mexico through Arizona and eventually south into Mexico as they sought to maintain their freedom and traditional way of life. After Victorio's death, Lozen aligned herself with Geronimo's resistance efforts, combining their military expertise and leadership capabilities. This partnership proved particularly effective in 1882 when Lozen participated in a significant operation with Geronimo that successfully liberated 600 Apache people from the San Carlos Reservation. Their collaboration continued until 1885 when Lozen aided Geronimo in what would become his final escape from reservation confinement. However, the sustained pressure from U.S. military forces eventually led Geronimo to surrender in 1886, a decision his family members later explained was motivated by his desire to ensure the survival of his remaining followers. Following this surrender, Lozen, Geronimo, and other Apache leaders were imprisoned and transported to Florida, marking the end of their active resistance. The final chapter of Lozen's life unfolded in the unfamiliar environment of the southeastern United States, where the Apache prisoners faced severe challenges adapting to the radically different climate and living conditions. The forced relocation proved devastating for many Apache people, with numerous deaths resulting from diseases previously uncommon among them, particularly diphtheria and tuberculosis. Lozen herself succumbed to tuberculosis in 1889 at Mount Vernon Barracks, Alabama, at approximately 50 years of age. While some members of her family eventually returned to their western homeland, Lozen's final resting place remained in Alabama. Initially, Lozen was buried in an unmarked grave, reflecting the circumstances of her imprisonment. However, later generations discovered and commemorated her burial site, adding an inscription to honor her legacy. Joey Padilla, a contemporary Apache cultural leader, notes that following the conclusion of the Apache Wars, many Chiricahua people were eventually permitted to return to their traditional territories. The enduring impact of Lozen's legacy continues to resonate within modern Apache communities. According to Padilla, the Mescalero Reservation maintains the traditional women's coming-of-age ceremonies that Lozen herself participated in nearly 2 centuries ago. Her influence extends beyond mere historical memory, as her direct descendants remain active members of the contemporary Apache community, helping to preserve and transmit her story to future generations. Historical assessments of Lozen consistently emphasize her exceptional qualities as both a warrior and spiritual leader. Her combination of supernatural gifts, tactical wisdom, and physical courage set her apart from her contemporaries, regardless of gender. In an era when military leadership was predominantly male, Lozen's achievements were particularly remarkable. While most women of her time focused on traditional domestic roles, Lozen chose a different path, dedicating herself to the protection and preservation of her people through direct military action. Lozen's singular focus on her mission to defend her people, combined with her multifaceted abilities as both warrior and healer, established her as a unique figure in Native American history. Her legacy challenges traditional gender roles, while exemplifying the highest ideals of leadership and community service. Modern historians and Apache cultural leaders recognize her as an extraordinary individual, whose impact transcended the conventional limitations of her era. The story of Lozen provides crucial insights into both Apache resistance efforts and the broader complexity of Native American responses to territorial encroachment during the 19th century. Her life demonstrates how individual dedication and exceptional abilities could influence the course of historical events, even in circumstances of extreme adversity. The preservation of her story, through both written records and oral traditions, ensures that future generations can continue to learn from her example of courage, dedication, and leadership. In contemporary Apache communities, Lozen's memory serves as a source of cultural pride and inspiration, particularly in understanding women's potential roles in leadership and community defense. Her story continues to resonate with modern audiences, offering valuable perspectives on gender roles, cultural resistance, and the importance of maintaining traditional knowledge while adapting to changing circumstances. The legacy of Lozen continues to captivate and inspire people today, her story a testament to the extraordinary potential that lies within the human spirit. Was her supernatural ability to sense enemies truly a divine gift, or was it a manifestation of exceptional tactical intuition? Perhaps some mysteries are better left unexplained, adding to the enduring allure of this remarkable Apache warrior-shaman. Join us in uncovering more fascinating stories of history's forgotten heroes. If you've been moved by Lozen's incredible journey, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. What aspects of her story resonated most with you? Stay tuned for more extraordinary tales from the shadows of history.